I've realized over the decades of being alive that self-confidence is everything. Self-confidence is what will break you. It's what will put you to a great state of depression. It's what will escalate you to make, millions of dollars a year. It's what will get you on TV. It's what will make you hide away in the corner of the gym. And it's so important, it's so relevant to everything that we do that's what we're going to be talking about today on the Stop Doing Nothing show. Hey, my name is Patrick Allman with StopDoingNothing.com. Been in business several years, been alive a lot longer than that, and our most popular podcast in the past on the Stop Doing Nothing show has been one about self-confidence. So I thought we'd go into a little bit more detail about that today. And as always, I welcome your questions and comments. And oftentimes when people are afraid to ask questions in public, they'll DM them to us, they'll text us to us. So our office number is 405-217-4752. If you ever want to private message us a question because you're afraid to say it in public, we will answer it on camera and keep your name anonymous. Okay, let's go into a little bit more detail. First of all, about what really gives people low self-esteem and low self-confidence, and some of the things we can do to kind of flip that around, or some of the mental tricks I've learned in my life to flip that around and use that to my advantage, or make me see things in a different light. First of all, I want you to realize that if you're having self-confidence issues, you are 100% in the norm. I have self-confidence issues. Your neighbors have self-confidence issues. The people that you see out there in the world doing amazing things, everyone has some kind of self-confidence issue, even when they lie to you and they say they don't. They're full of shit, okay? People have self-confidence issues all the time. And why is that? Some of the ideas that I think I've come up with as to why people have self-confidence issues are, one, the uncertainty. It's very hard for our brains to process that we want to do something when we don't know the outcome of it. What's going to happen when I turn on the camera? What's going to happen when I get on an airplane? What's going to happen when I stand up in front of an audience and have to give a presentation? Or what's going to happen when I want to start my own business, or I want to approach somebody that, I find is attractive? I don't know what's going to happen. If I approach someone that's attractive, they might reject me. They might call me a fool. They might laugh at me. They might say I'm too short. They might say I stink. I just don't know if I can deal with that kind of rejection. That right there, that unknown can kill you if you're the kind of person who's trying to approach someone. Well, what if you're the kind of person who's trying to start your own business? Well, you don't know what the paperwork is you're going to have to do. You don't know how much money you're going to make. You don't know if you're going to have any clients. You don't know if anyone's going to buy what you're selling. That'll kill your self-confidence right there when it comes to starting up a business. Same thing goes true for someone like walking into a gym, or someone who wants to lose weight, is they don't know what's going to happen. And I think that uncertainty scares the crap out of people, and that uncertainty and the thinking about what all the things that could happen, that throws you into some kind of analysis paralysis. And I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. And when you're in analysis paralysis, you're not going to take action and you're not going to do things. And that's a perfectly normal, psychological behavior pattern. When we don't know things are going to happen, it's scary, it's fearful, and it kind of bothers us that we don't know what the future is going to be. So we don't want to dip the toe in that pool. We don't know what's going to happen when we jump into a new adventure, or when we put ourselves into an uncomfortable situation. And when we don't know that, it's scary as hell, and we're not going to decide. Something else I think that causes people to have some challenge with self-confidence is the fact that they might look like a fool. When you start a business, you might fail. You might fall flat on your face. When you approach someone who you think is attractive, they might laugh at you. And I know these are somewhat related to the other one, but just not exactly, so bear with me. When you want to go out and you want to do something new in the world, there's a heavy possibility you could fail. More often than not in the world, people that try adventurous things, they try things outside of their comfort zone, they will fail and they will crash and burn. That happens all the time. It's the reality of life. You can't really get away from it. Failure is part of living. If I was watching a Frank Kern video the other day, and he was talking about the guy that wants to go out and be a boxer, and people want to go out and get in boxing or do a UFC, but they're afraid of getting hit. Well, if you're afraid of getting hit, boxing's not going to be your sport. If you're afraid of losing money, or the possibility or the risk of losing money, going into business for yourself is not going to be your thing. So we have that fear of falling flat on our face, and that fear is scary. We're afraid to look ridiculous. We're afraid to look stupid. We're afraid to put ourselves out there because somebody could laugh at us. And this may come about as the result of something that happened to you as an adult, or it may have come about as a result of something that happened to you when you were a kid. And this could have been something, that happened to you very young, and the cycle started and kept going and kept going and kept going. Let's say you tried something in third or fourth grade and everyone laughed at you. And so that kind of, affected your psyche a little bit, and all of a sudden you're like, you get to fourth grade and you're like, well, I'm going to try this again. And, oh, somebody else laughs at you. And then by the time you get around to fifth grade, sixth grade, high school, you're like, I'm not trying that crap anymore. That is scary. I don't want to do it. I can remember back to third grade when someone laughed at me. And I'm speaking about you theoretically, not me right now. But I've noticed before that adults remember those things in their childhood that kind of carried forward to them. And that's when the root of things happen. And that's why it's so important. This could be a whole separate video. That's why it's so important to encourage our children to basically take risks, because those are going to be the people that succeed. But getting back to what I was saying, something could have happened to you when you were very young that carried forward to the point where you went through high school, you went through college, you joined the military. And because that affected you when you were so young, it kind of killed that part of your brain that was yearning for excitement and adventure, and it makes you very risk averse. And that's something that could have happened then also. And you may not even know it. You may not even know, why you're fearful of jumping into something, why you're afraid of something. You have no idea, but it's in your brain. It exists and it affects you. And so you become very risk averse. So those are the two possible ones right there. I could probably go into some other ones here off the top of my head, but I want to talk about those for a little bit, and see if I can give you some good ideas to get past that, okay? The first one was the one of the unknown. And I'm going to tell you, as someone who's been in business for 21 years, that I still go through periods of unknowns. And the more experience I have, the more risk, I'm allowed to accept and absorb that risk, but there are still plenty of times where we don't know what's going to happen. When I get in my car right now in the office and I drive out and I make a left and a right and a left, I have no idea what's waiting for me out there. Could be a tank barreling down the road, could be an out-of-control semi, it could be a 170-year-old grandma driving 5 miles an hour getting in my way. Okay, I have no idea. However, that should not inhibit me from going out there and making that left, right, and that left and getting back on the road out there. The unknowns have been solved by other people, and that's my main solution for getting past this. Whether it's a relationship issue, a technical issue, a public speaking issue, an exercise issue, a self-confidence issue, the unknowns are always there, and they've already been solved. I already know what happens if I get out on the road and an unknown comes in front of me. My experience has taught me what to do and how to act. And so I can get through that stuff pretty easily nowadays. But when I was a beginning driver, you know what? Not necessarily. It wasn't that easy. Experience helps you get through the unknowns that affect your self-confidence. And so my goal and my trick I've always taught people is to go out there and get more experience in certain things. And there's various ways you can do that, but the more experience you have in something and the more you see that it's not as scary, it helps give you a self-confidence. And I've actually seen this recently a lot when I've taken CrossFit. I've taken up CrossFit here recently. And there's a lot of unknowns in CrossFit, especially for a big guy like me, as to how things are going to work. Can I lift this? Can I move this fast? You know what? I suck at CrossFit. I've learned there is so much I can't do. And every single day we go into a CrossFit class, there's the WOD up on the board, and he says, we're going to do 5 of these and 10 of these, and we're going to sprint 50 yards back and forth. You're going to do 22 of these, and you're going to balance your partner on your shoulders. That stuff every single day is unknown, and I have no idea how I'm going to do it. Fortunately for me, my coach always says, when you see this, this, and this, and this, don't worry about it. We're going to walk through it together, and so there won't be any unknowns by the time you actually have to start it and do it. So I would encourage you to almost voluntarily or put yourself into situations where you don't know the outcomes of things. Put yourself into uncomfortable situations and just kind of simmer there a little bit. Don't do anything that's going to just scare you into paralysis, but simmer there in an uncomfortable situation and realize that, while you're sitting there, like when you put your feet or your knees in the deep end of the pool, not much happens, and it's not as scary as you think it is. And that will hopefully affect your self-confidence and let you see that that fear that was ingrained deep in our psyche is not as bad as we think it is. Now, getting back to the part 2 of what I talked about before, the other one, the fear of failing or the fear of making mistakes or the fear of looking like a fool, I'm going to tell you the only way I know how to get past this. And this may or may not work for you, but I'm going to tell you it, and hopefully you can gain some benefit out of this. I realized a while back that a lot of the stuff I do makes me look like a fool. Turning on the camera and talking to you in my office makes me look like a fool. People are probably watching this video right now laughing, saying, ha ha ha, Patrick, you look like a dang idiot. You know what? When I speak in front of groups of people, I confess up front that I'm going to make mistakes. And I might say something somewhat foolish. I go in with the mindset of, I know I'm going to look ridiculous. So if I knew I'm going to look ridiculous, when I do a really good job at something, I look even better. I look good doing it because I assumed I was going to trip and fall flat on my face doing it. People make mistakes all the time. If you're someone who's afraid of public speaking, I'm going to give you that example right there. If you're someone who's afraid of public speaking and you're afraid because when you go up there, there's going to be 1,000 people watching you and they're going to be laughing at you and snickering at you and tweeting out pictures of you and making memes of you, you know what? They're going to be doing it anyways. There was a great quote recently from The Greatest Showman, one of my favorite all-time movies, and there's a scene where the guy who plays Barnum, P.T. Barnum, goes to the dwarf guy. I don't know probably the correct term right now, but he says, you want people to laugh at me. And what P.T. Barnum replies back is, you know what? They're going to laugh anyways. You might as well get paid for it. If you look at people out there, whether in reality shows or performers or singers or people doing amazing things that you admire, look at the fact that they make mistakes a lot of the time. Pro basketball players shoot forever and ever on practice shots and they make a lot of missed shots, a lot of mistakes. Public speakers say their ums, their ahs. People start up businesses and fail and start and fail and start and fail and start and fail over and over and over sometimes before they hit the home run. Now, if an entrepreneur had a really low self-confidence or a really low threshold for failure, maybe after that first time, that would be enough for them. They would just give up. They would go back to their 9-to-5 job, which was nice and safe, and somebody else took care of everything, and they wouldn't risk something again. However, people that have a higher level of self-confidence or realize that, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to screw this up. I realize that every single time I wake up in the morning, I'm going to screw this up. When I realize that I'm going to screw this up, I do a lot better because I'm not afraid of failing because I've assumed I'm going to fail from the beginning. Now it's just my job to back out of that failure and go forward and do what I can to mitigate that so my failure doesn't look as big or as ridiculous as it normally would. So if you're someone who's having some self-confidence issues, do me a favor and comment or reply back to me somehow on social media and let me know if these tips have been helpful. I'll be doing some other videos on entrepreneurship and self-confidence. If this was useful to you, also do me a favor, subscribe on YouTube and like, share, and leave a rating over on iTunes or Spotify, whatever your listening platform is. That helps me realize the topics you want us to cover to make you a better, smart, and more confident person. As always, my name is Patrick Allman from StopDoingNothing.com. Thank you very much for watching. Hope it's been useful for it. Now go out there and exercise some risk in your life, and that's going to bring some self-confidence into your skull. Take care. We'll chat with you soon.